Morning everybody. It is an absolutely beautiful sunny winter's day, but it is very cold, and boy are we pleased we've got a hardtop on, the new 575 from Buccaneer out of Hamilton. So the layout of any new model is always interesting, and I think the guys at Buccaneer have done a pretty good job of laying this thing out quite nicely and quite even proportions. Up the forward, you've got really it is a double bed once the infill's in, and underneath there's space for a chemical toilet, which means people could certainly sleep there either for the day or overnight. And I imagine a B-mini type canvas cover can be installed over here as well to make it feel a bit more secure. The cockpit area itself around the helm station is a good size, nice head height. The dashboard is pretty straightforward. It can certainly take a 15-inch screen, I suspect, which I might be inclined to do myself. And the seats, the helm seats, are pretty comfortable. They've got they're designed so they can either be used sitting up or sitting on or standing and leaning against, which I often do because it just improves visibility a little bit. And in the rear cockpit area, space for 3 or 4 people to fish easily, especially if a couple of those people are children. Nice high sides, so when the kids are learning to fish or whatever, they've got something to really lean against, which I think makes fishing that little bit safer and more secure. The bait board's enormous, and I love it. You certainly know it's ready for holding some bait and some fishing rods, and it wouldn't be difficult to install a rod holder on the roof line itself as well. So the chili bin, as you can see, has also been used as a spare seat. Clever little trick, really. The duckboard area is pretty straightforward, and certainly plenty of space to sit on and dangle your feet or jump off if you're inclined. The boarding ladder is pretty straightforward and tucks nicely out of the way. I like it that it's raised a little bit from the actual boat itself, so it just makes lifting yourself out of the water that little bit easier. The underfloor storage is really easy to access. Down underneath it's either a wet locker or for your fishing gear, that sort of stuff, or wet towels, depending on how you're using your boat. Overall, she feels like a pretty good package. I do like the little side clears. They just help keep that spray off. And when we left port this morning, it was about 10 knots, and now she's gusting, I reckon, about north of 25 at times. So we certainly did get to use those, as well as our beanies today, because she is cold. But overall, been really warm on the boat. Really impressed with how she handles, going through the ferry wake, which has been very prevalent this morning. Yeah, very good. So it is a pretty windy, sloppy day in the end, and that's where you really see how a boat performs at times. And I've been really impressed with the engine and propeller setup. We've been able to cruise along at almost any speed we choose without having to feather the throttle on and off to maintain that speed, and I find that quite unusual and pretty impressive. Certainly makes any voyage more comfortable for the passengers. The helm area itself is really straightforward, and things are really easy to reach. There's not too much complexity, and the steering's just on point, so very good. So she readily cruises at 20 knots, and I think we're up on the plane at about 11, and at that really only using 11 litres per hour as well, which was pretty impressive. Full speed today, just on into the 30s, 30 knots. Not quite the right conditions to trim her how we would like to maximise that, but performed pretty well actually. So we're anchored at the moment, and we've used the Maxwell RC6 and just trying to tuck out of the southerly wind while we finish this boat review. From the helm seat you can actually see the winch, but also the anchor too. And there is a nice healthy drop down from the winch into storage, so hopefully that means the old warp doesn't get bundled as they can do at times, but I suspect it won't on this boat, which is good. The floor is sea-deck throughout, and also on the rails along the side too, meaning non-slip and doesn't get hot. It's great. A boat this size with a hardtop is normally the territory of an aluminium boat, but to see it in fiberglass and have done really well with it is really pleasing to see, and I can see this boat will appeal to a lot of people. The proportions are good, the height is good, it doesn't feel like, well, it feels like it's always been here, frankly. The hull and motor setup combined with the floor braid propeller really do perform nicely, and according to the fuel stats we've seen today, very, very cost-effective boating. So very good.
John Ecclestone from Boating New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to our channel.